On March 31, 2023, concerns were raised about a mother's well-being. At approximately 8:20 p.m., the Winnewo Police Department was contacted by a person who identified herself as a friend of Madeline Jane Kingsbury. According to the friend, Madeline had not attempted to contact or communicate with her throughout the day, which the friend indicated was unusual. The friend reported to police that she was concerned with the health and safety of Madeline. The friend went to Madeline's apartment, spotted her minivan in the driveway, and knocked on the door, but no one answered. The friend reportedly stated to authorities that she was aware that Madeline was experiencing problems with her significant other, who also lived at the home. Officers attempted to make contact at the residence, finding no response and no occupants visible through the windows. Concern escalated when Madeline's father confirmed her lack of communication, which is very unusual. Speaking with her partner, Adam Fravel, on the phone, he revealed Madeline hadn't been in touch since morning when they put their children at a daycare, but Madeline hadn't collected their children as planned. So Fravel collected them from the daycare and took them to his parents' home. Subsequent welfare checks by law enforcement inside Madeline Kingsbury's residence showed no one was there. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we delve into a harrowing tale of abuse, disappearance, and suspicion that shook a small town in Minnesota to its core. Join us as we unravel the enigma of Madeline Kingsbury case. Madeline Jane Kingsbury, a 26-year-old researcher at Mayo Clinic from Winona, Minnesota, lived with her partner, Adam Taylor Fravel, and their two children. Madeline stands at 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighs about 135 pounds. She has brown hair and hazel eyes. Friends who knew her said she was never an angry person, bubbly, and always had a kind heart and a smile on her face. She was dedicated to her work at Mayo and taking care of her kids. She met Adam Fravel at college in Winona, and they have had an on and off again relationship for the past 7 years. On April the 1st, 2023, the following morning after Madeline's disappearance, a search warrant was issued for the residence she shared with Adam Fravel in Winona. Inside, investigators found Maddie's belongings, including her cell phone, jacket, and purse, along with a laptop she used for work. They accessed the phone's data and discovered a text sent to Madeline's sister on March 31 at 8:15 a.m. No further activity was recorded on her phone thereafter. Though the residence was cluttered, there were no apparent signs of a struggle. Adam Fravel was the last person to see her. Investigators have interviewed the children's daycare provider, who verified that both Madeline and Fravel brought their children to daycare on the morning of March 31 around 8:05 a.m. Additionally, the provider mentioned that Fravel was alone when he retrieved the children later that day. Fravel acknowledged that recently their relationship was not working, so they decided to separate and were in the process of moving out of their Winona residence. Madeline had been looking at different apartments in the area for her and the children to live in. Fravel indicated that about 2 weeks ago, Madeline had told him that she had begun a relationship with another man, but that he did not know how long the relationship had been going on. Fravel mentioned that on the morning of Friday, March 31, he and Madeline dropped their children at a daycare at 8 a.m. and then drove back home. Once they arrived, Madeline stated that she had an online meeting and afterwards was going to Rochester for work. He indicated he observed Madeline go downstairs to her home office. Fravel planned to run property storage errands for most of the day. He intended to first drive to his parents' place near Mabel in Minnesota, with items he wanted to store at his parents' house, then return to Winona to take the remaining items to a place called Midwest Storage, located in Winona. He said he left for Mabel that morning at 10:15 a.m. Fravel explained that after driving for some time, he stopped at a place called Choice, where he realized he had the wrong items and so returned home, arriving at around 11:30 a.m. When he arrived, he saw his Krista 200 sedan car, but Madeline wasn't there. Thinking she might have carpooled to Rochester, he stayed home, texting her but not getting a response. Later, finding Madeline still absent, he picked up the children from the daycare and took them to his parents' place in Mabel, along with the items he meant to store at his parents' house. Law enforcement officers traveled the same route Fravel traveled and said the time matches what he stated, except for the 45 minutes window between the time when he travels southbound a few minutes towards Mabel on Highway 43 and returns back northbound away from Mabel. Since word spread of Kingsbury's disappearance, many have become interested in Kingsbury's blue town and country van. There are a few hours in the day when Fravel was driving the van that were seemingly unaccounted for, as law enforcement urged people in the area to check their cameras for any sightings of it. As the investigation unfolded, disturbing details emerged. Madeline's husband, Adam Fravel, became a person of interest. Authorities offered a reward of $50,000 for any information that may lead to Maddie's return. The minivan driven by Fravel was seen at different points to and from Minona to Mabel and back. Law enforcement obtained security camera footage from residences and businesses in the Winona neighborhood where Adam Fravel lived, as well as along Fravel's route to his parents' house on March 31.
Well, a young mother from Winona has now been missing for 1 week. Law enforcement is ramping up search efforts now for Madeline Kingsbury, with hundreds of volunteers helping out today. Mass searches are now taking place in Winona and Fillmore counties. Searchers walking through farm fields, rough terrain, and rural areas, hoping to find any sign of Maddie.
Well, I have a granddaughter the same age, so I thought it was important that I come out here.
If it was my child, or anyone in my family, I would want the entire world looking for her or them. Yeah. So just an obligation, I think, between Winona County and Fillmore County and all the volunteers.
Yeah, officials are asking people living in Winona and Fillmore counties to check their properties.
2 weeks since her disappearance, Adam Fravel, who had been at the center of online speculation, denied his involvement in her disappearance. He said that he has cooperated with law enforcement at every turn and wanted the mother of his children to return back. Adam Fravel exhibits patterns of violent behavior. His actions include yelling at Madeline, physically striking her in the face, and putting his hands around her throat, as reported by witnesses. These incidents suggest a concerning and potentially dangerous character trait of aggression and physical violence. Moreover, the fact that Madeline would conceal bruises on her face during video calls indicates a pattern of abuse and manipulation within their relationship. These accounts paint a troubling picture of Fravel's behavior and the harmful impact it has had on Madeline. A friend recounted an incident from 2020 or 2021 where she witnessed Fravel's aggressive behavior during a video call with Madeline. Madeline, holding her child and cooking, was confronted by Fravel, who yelled at her to be quiet and then struck her in the face. Fravel seemed unaware of being watched and left the room when the friend intervened over the call. The friend noticed bruises on Madeleine's face during other calls, which Madeleine concealed with her sweater when asked about them. As if the case couldn't get any more heartbreaking, a custody battle ensued over Madeleine and Fravel's 2 children. Fravel filed a petition for custody. Maddie's family fought to ensure the children remained in their care. The county judge denied his petition, ordering the children to stay with their maternal grandparents, who had been caring for them since the beginning of April after Maddie's disappearance. Tragically, the search for Maddie came to a devastating end 69 days later. It was a phone data that led authorities to locate the body. Digital evidence brought to an area at Highway 43, a few distance north of Mabel, that had previously been searched. They found the body in a wooded area by the side of a remote stretch of gravel road at 1:30 p.m. of June 7. The body was found in an area that is a few minutes away from the property owned by Fravel's family. The area had previously been searched way back in April, but the body was not found because it was covered and concealed in such a way that it would not be visible. It was wrapped in a bedsheet and tied with black tape. The body has clothing matching what Maddie was wearing the day she went missing. Investigators said it was not known whether the body has been moved there. It was confirmed to be hers the next day. Adam was arrested and charged with second-degree murder on the same day her body was found, due to the fact that it was located on the route near his family's property.
This morning, the Southern Minnesota Regional Medical Examiner's Office performed an autopsy. Law enforcement has confirmed the remains are those of Madeleine Kingsbury. We have said that we will hold anyone involved in Madeleine's disappearance accountable, and we are here to tell you that we will hold steadfast on that commitment. Adam was arrested at a residence in Mabel, and yes, he was arrested without incident.
Our focus now is to continue to assist the Winona Police Department with every resource available to us to ensure that an accurate and complete investigation is prepared.
Fravel's charge was later increased to 4 counts. Murder in the first degree while committing domestic abuse with a history of domestic abuse, premeditated murder in the first degree, murder in the second degree, and murder in the second degree without intent while committing a felony. This case is still going on, and if convicted, he could face life in prison. Financial constraints could be the motive for Maddie's murder. It was said that Adam Fravel became jobless after being laid off during the pandemic in 2021. Since then, Maddie became the only earning member in the family. Earlier, the rent was shared, but now Maddie had to cover the rent in full. And she has to explain to the landlord about being several months behind in rent. She told her landlord, and I quote, "I have been the only one working as of late." Maddie wanted to end their relationship and told her landlord that she was planning to leave the residence by May of 2023. But unexpectedly, on March 27, she texted her landlord that she was finding her own place. 4 days after she texted this, she was never seen again. Adam was dependent on Maddie for financial support, and a breakup would mean the loss of that support. Furthermore, it is learned that Maddie Kingsbury was entitled to a death benefit of $170,000 from her employer, Mayo Clinic. But Maddie had not designated a beneficiary for the payout, but by default it would have gone to her children. Adam, as the biological father of the children, would have had access to this fund. The Adam Fravel case is a harrowing saga of alleged abuse and the mysterious disappearance of Madeline Kingsbury. The evidence presented in court documents paints a troubling picture of their relationship, marked by instances of violence and manipulation. Fravel's actions, particularly his unexplained use of Kingsbury's van and suspicious behavior on the day of her disappearance, have raised significant questions and suspicions surrounding his involvement. As the investigation continues, the search for answers intensifies, leaving communities gripped by uncertainty and concern. The outcome of this case remains uncertain, but what is clear is the urgent need for justice and closure for Madeline Kingsbury and all those affected by this tragic ordeal. Stay tuned for further updates as the investigation unfolds. Be sure to subscribe for more true crime content, and we'll see you in the next video.